Hi everyone, welcome to COM 1500. This is Introduction to American Sign Language. My name is Christy Desano. I am so excited to be your instructor for this course, and my goal for the course is just to make it as interactive as possible. I know that sometimes a course, especially a course that's online, and a course where, we're not face-to-face, synchronously, can be really tough. So my goal is to make this course feel very interactive, very hands-on, and I think that starts off with just you getting to know a little bit about me and me getting to know a little bit about you. So again, my name is Christy Desano. Thank you so much for deciding to take this course. I am a wife, a mom. I have a family of 4. I have a daughter who is, her name is Everly, a son who's Jace. My husband's name is Jacob. I myself was a graduate of Oakland University in 2012, and it is just such a dream to be back here on the other side of the desk and just kind of teaching. I loved my experience at OU, and being a part of the communication program meant so much to me, and I'm so excited to be a part of that same program right now and delivering instruction. After my time at Oakland University, I felt that I needed to continue my sign language journey. I simply took this exact class that you're taking right now, and I was like, I love sign language. This class is amazing. I need to do more with it. I hope and pray that some of you do feel like that after this course, because like I said, it truly changed my life. After taking this one course from Oakland, I quickly went to OCC and took the rest of the sign language classes I could take in their interpreter training program. After that, I knew I didn't necessarily want to interpret because interpreting can be a varied schedule and things like that. And I knew for my lifestyle that I wanted to have something very structured. So I looked into other pathways and I discovered teaching American Sign Language. And I first and foremost want to address the elephant in the room. I am a hearing person. How can I possibly be teaching American Sign Language? I understand that. I want to make sure that you understand that I am very aware that I am a guest here and this is not my native language. I was fortunate enough to learn this language from some very well-respected professors, and I am simply sharing my knowledge of what I have learned through my time being a guest here with the deaf community. I am continuing to learn and grow every day, and anytime I don't know the answer to something, I'm immediately going to the deaf community. I'm immediately going to my contacts who know more than I do, and I'm just asking their feedback. And so again, after being here at Oakland, going to OCC, I landed at Madonna University, their program in teaching American Sign Language, where I had some amazing professors who were deaf and who instructed me. And after going to school at Madonna, teaching just felt like a calling to me. I started working at Oxford High School as their ASL teacher, and I have since then been teaching at Rochester community schools and have just been a high school teacher teaching American Sign Language as a part of a world language program. I was invited to come back to OU and to teach this intro class, and it is such a blessing. I've been here at Oakland for several years now, and I pray and hope that I can continue to be here for a very long time. Other little fun facts about me. I love dark chocolate. I love concerts, country concerts specifically, hanging out with my family. I do love reading a good book. My favorite season is summer, and just all the things. I hope we get to learn even more about each other throughout this course, but those are some things about me. Now, one question I will ask you, you are going to be creating this little video kind of similar to what I'm doing right now, just about you. I want to know your why for taking this class, and I want honest answers only. If your why is that you needed the credit, that's totally fine. If your why is that you didn't really like Spanish, that's okay. So I want to know who you are, what you're interested in, what your plans are, and then why were you, drawn to this class. Some other things I usually talk about in this intro is kind of like ASL basics. So first and foremost, who can use ASL? I always ask people, who can use ASL? And the simple answer to that is anyone. Anyone can use ASL. I have taught my kids ASL when they were younger, baby sign language. They were able to sign more and milk before they could ever say those words. And so that was super helpful. People use ASL in their daily lives. If they're, spaced away from each other, they can sign something. People can sign underwater, right? All these crazy things. But aside from people using ASL for fun, we know that ASL can be used by the deaf and hard of hearing community. There are people who are mute who use ASL. There are people with special needs and different abilities that also find ASL useful as well. So many people can use ASL. It is not a restrictive language. Anyone can use it. The next question I always ask is, what is the difference between capital D deaf and lowercase d deaf? And there actually is a difference. Capital D deaf is when you are deaf and you associate with the deaf community, meaning that you use sign language, you sign, and that you're just kind of like a part of the community. Now, if you are somebody who is deaf, you cannot hear, maybe you're older, you lost your hearing later in life, then you're like a latent deaf person. Maybe you don't sign, you don't associate with the deaf community. You would be a lowercase d deaf. So lowercase d deaf means that you are, legally speaking, you cannot hear, but you do not associate with the culture. You do not sign. Okay, do know that this is going to be on your quiz, so make sure you're taking some notes on this. Again, uppercase D deaf, you are deaf, you are proud, you sign, you're a part of the community. Lowercase d deaf, you cannot hear, but you're not associated with the community at all. Next, as a hearing person, what do I need to be cautious about? And there's a lot. As a hearing person, again, I need to be cautious and realize that I am a guest here and this is not my language. So I would never meet a deaf person and maybe like show them a sign and they would maybe like correct me and say like, oh, like, that's wrong. This is the right sign. And I would never say no. Or I would never say, but my teacher, taught me this sign. No, if a deaf person is showing me something, I'm always going to accept it and I'm always going to continue on. I'm going to accept it and continue on. Deaf people are a minority group of people who have been oppressed for a long time, and we'll talk more about that throughout this course. And so it's really important that we respect their culture. They have a lot of, wounds that have come from years of, being oppressed and being told that, deaf people were kind of less than hearing people. And so we really need to be respectful. If you are a student who is learning how to sign, I love that for you. Please try and refrain from going on TikTok and creating signed videos and posting them for everyone to see when you only have like one class under your belt, right? Nothing kind of upsets deaf people more than seeing hearing people using ASL for gain or for profit. So just be cautious about what you choose to share and always be honest and say that, you are learning and you're a guest here using this language. So that's really important. All right, are you ready for your first quiz? This is the deaf culture quiz. I'm gonna ask you to sign a thumbs up or a thumbs down, okay? If you are thinking that this is something that's true, thumbs up. If it's false, thumbs down. If you're in the middle, you're in the middle. All right. American Sign Language is a form of English. Thumbs up, thumbs down, or unsure. All deaf people sign. If deaf people are taught to speak, they can never, if deaf people are taught to sign, they can never speak. True, false, unsure. Sign language is universal. Once you know it, you can communicate with people all over the world. Deaf people can understand spoken language by lip reading. Sounds tricky. And last one, it's best to write notes back and forth to a deaf person. All right. Hopefully you were able to give a guess, an educated guess on some of those responses. This is one of those trick quizzes that all of them are actually false. So ASL is not a form of English. ASL is its own language with its own grammatical structure, okay? All deaf people don't sign. We kind of touched on that earlier. Maybe people who are older and who are deaf, they become late deafened, maybe they don't sign. If deaf people are taught to sign, they can never speak. That's not true. Signing, using your hands, using your tactile skills has nothing to do with your vocal cords, right? We also talked about that with my kids with baby sign language. I taught my kids to sign, baby sign, before they could speak. That didn't delay their speech at all, right? If anything, it got them moving and their brains working faster. Unfortunately, sign language is not universal. So there's Spanish Sign Language, there's British Sign Language. So if you are traveling internationally, don't think that you're gonna go and be able to sign ASL to wherever. It is not a universal sign language. Deaf people understanding lip reading, it's false because each deaf person is unique. Each deaf person has their own story. We don't know how they grew up. Did they grow up with parents who can hear? So they were taught English quite often and they are, fluent at lip reading? Or were they born and raised in a deaf home where only sign language was signed? So they don't know what the English language looks like, right? That's different. So it's not necessarily true. Same thing with writing notes back and forth to a deaf person. I will say that if you are ever in a situation, especially early on in this course, where you come in contact with a deaf person, typing notes on your phone, it's not the wrong thing to do at all. It's just that some deaf people might have, perceived the English in a difficult way. And the reason is because the average reading level for a deaf person is around like 5th or 6th grade. And so when you are expecting them to read, these elaborate sentences and things like that, because English is not ASL, right? That would be like asking me to read something in French. Like I can't do it, right? So it's not necessarily fair to assume that deaf people can read lips or that they can write notes back and forth. Honestly, I always tell students that when in doubt, gesture it out. A lot of signs you can kind of, gesture out and you might be correct. So for example, if you were somewhere and you're thirsty and you're like, I'm thirsty, I need a drink, right? Thirsty, drink, like those are gestures that are actually signs too, right? I'm hungry, I need to eat, right? That's the sign for eat. It also looks like a gesture. So when in doubt, gesture it out for sure. So all of those things were false. Just to explain some background about ASL and the deaf community and give you a little bit of a taste of what we're going to be covering in the course. I wanted to leave you guys with the manual alphabet. So the manual alphabet is A through Z, just like you learned when you were a kid. And the manual alphabet is done on your hands. And we are going to go ahead and practice that. That would be the way that you introduce yourself. You finger spell your name, which you are going to do. But I don't want you to think that everything is finger spelled. It's not. There's signs. The manual alphabet is used for proper nouns, if you don't know the sign for something and you have to finger spell it out, or for emphasis in something. So don't think that everything is signed. Also, the alphabet does not take care of all of our hand shapes. We have 42 hand shapes in ASL. And we will talk about what's the difference, why do I need to know hand shapes? And we'll talk about the different parameters in another video. But let's go ahead and go through the manual alphabet, and then I'll give you a chance to record your video introducing yourself. And I will also ask you to do another video of signing your name. So here we go. Please take the hand that you write with, and I want you to find a comfortable spot. And it's always important too that we adjust our video, right? We want to make sure that our hand's in the frame. We don't want to be signing out here and expect us to understand each other or have me grade something when you're signing off camera. So try and make sure, recording 101 here, I usually make sure that I try to have like a dark background just because I'm lighter skin toned. So this makes my hands kind of stand out more. Always make sure too that, you do have like good lighting and that there's not like somebody running around the background. Anything like that can be distracting in your videos. So it's important when you are going to turn in something for a grade that you are maintaining these kind of standards of recording. So, clean background, reduce noise, and then just kind of wearing something that's not a ton of writing on it or a very bright color that would be distracting. Just kind of a nice, something that complements your skin color. If you have darker skin tone, maybe wearing a lighter shirt so your hands stand out more would be a great thing. So take the hand you write with. You're gonna come in this little area here, right? Nice little comfy area. You're not too far, you're not too back, you're not to the side, you're not too high. It takes a minute. You're gonna start with A. For A, I have all my fingers down and my thumb is right up next to my fingers. For B, I'm gonna move all my fingers up and I'm gonna cross my thumb across my palm. For C, I'm going to move my hands in a C hand shape. And for D, this one does get a little tricky. I'm just going to raise my index finger. I'm just raising my index finger here. Notice how I'm not turning my wrist like this. That's really straining on your wrist, right? We don't need anyone getting carpal tunnel. So let's start again. We did A, move up your fingers for B, C, index finger up for D. Great job. For E, we're gonna pull back all of our fingers. You can see they're kind of scrunched back. My thumb is across my palm again. For F, we're gonna kind of do like the OK symbol. For G, I have my index and my thumb. You can see kind of what it looks like. When you do look at my PowerPoints and you see like G and H, again, they're turned this way. They're trying to show you what's going on in the back, but that's not how we do it. Just like this. We don't want to twist our wrists. So G, H. So for H, again, I'm holding my two fingers back. I have my index finger and my middle finger out. Great job. All right, let's start with E. So we did E, then we did the F for the OK. G was just your index and your thumb out. H, you tucked your thumb away, and we have our index and our middle finger out. I, you're gonna put a pinky up. And J, you're gonna swoop down and make this J. For K, you're gonna take a peace sign, but you're going to take your thumb and rest it. You're gonna rest your thumb right here on that middle finger. This is K. For L, exactly what you would think it would be. And now for M, I want you to tuck your thumb under your three fingers. That's hard for some of us, right? Some of us with small hands. Tuck your thumb under these three fingers. That's M. For N, you're gonna take your thumb and tuck it under two fingers. And then O looks exactly like what you would think it would look like. And for P, you're gonna take, remember that K hand shape? Remember this? The peace sign and then my thumb rested on my middle finger. You're gonna take that P hand shape and it just looks like a K that you're holding facing the floor. Let me show you. This is where they got the P from right here. So I know it looks a little funky, but trust me on this. So we'll try that one again. So this is what a K is, right? L, M, N, O, and then P, right? So if you forget the P, remember it was that same hand shape as K, palm, wrist facing down. Q, it's the same hand shape as G, but again, it's facing the floor. R, you're gonna take your index and your middle finger and cross them. S, your thumb is across your fingers, very similar to A. This one always confused me when I was in school. A is here, thumb is not across, S is across. For T, you're gonna tuck your thumb under your index finger. For U, you're gonna have 2 fingers up. For V, you're gonna pull them apart. For W, you're gonna do that like, right, that almost looks like our 6 hand shape here, right? This is not 3 anymore, remember. For X, we are here. That's just an index finger that's bent down. For Y, we have our thumb and our pinky out. And then for Z, we're just gonna draw it in the air. Okay, let's go through this. A, B, C, D. You got it, keep going. E, F, G. H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Great job. How we applause, how we clap in ASL is literally doing like jazz hands. So I'm taking 2 5 hands and I'm shaking them. And that's me clapping for you because you got through the manual alphabet. The manual alphabet is tricky. There is no way around it. It just is. It's one of those things that you're going to have to practice and do again and again so that it sticks in your brain. The manual alphabet is not going anywhere. We are going to use that to fingerspell and to sign our names. We are going to use that to sign proper nouns. So please make sure that you are working on your manual alphabet. Now, let's take our manual alphabet and let's think about how to spell our name, okay? So you should have a manual alphabet sheet. There is going to be a doc for that, so you can have that pulled up. That's totally fine. We're gonna spell my first name. You can work on your first name. So I'm gonna think about my name. All right, starts with a C. I'm gonna make sure I have my C hand shape. H, right? I'm gonna transition to the H. R, I, S. If your first name is Chris, there you go. I'm gonna keep going. T, I, E. Okay, my first name, Christy. I'm gonna keep practicing that. I'm gonna get comfortable with the transition between the letters because we want it to be nice and smooth. We don't want it to be anything like punching or bouncing or anything like that. Once you have your name down, try it with this introduction. Hello, right? Hello, hello. That's just a gesture, that's a wave. Hello. My name, I'm taking 2 H hands and I'm tapping them. So hello, my name. We're not going to sign is because we don't sign that. And then go right ahead into your first name. Great job. If you want a challenge, you can take 2 pinkies, drop your dominant pinky off of your non-dominant, last name, and then you can go into finger spelling your last name if you want a challenge. Great job. Thank you again for the intro video. I'm sorry this one was a little bit long. I'll keep the rest of mine short, but please go ahead and practice signing hello, my name is, first name, and then last name too. See ya.